What's up, sir?
Another day, another dollar. That's
Yeah.
uh that's a little different than living the dream, right?
Yeah,
Actually,
well, I mean,
no, hang on, real quick. One of my old coaches used to say, "Blessed beyond measure." I should start saying that one.
that is a good one. I've heard that one. I like that one.
Anyway,
Sounds a lot better than the past two you've been using.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just enjoying this weekend. It's the first weekend I've had where I've really been able to do nothing, and it's been really nice. Um, Not like it's Tally's fault, but Tally got called for a trip this week. She left Friday morning or Friday afternoon, and she gets back tonight later on. So this is like my first weekend here where kind of just really had like been alone the entire time, just like had that time to like decompress. I feel like honestly for a while, probably like more than a month or so, I've really been go, go, go. So this weekend, all I did was go to the gym and lift, and then I came home and I studied. And that's all I've been doing. Been eating a whole lot. I've been doing, I got to this like mental fog, not mental fog, I was just like in a weird groggy, like not, I don't know, I can't explain like where I was mentally. And so I decided to go on a higher carb, basically carb loading for 3 days. So the protocol is anywhere from like 3 to 4 grams per lean body mass of carbs per pound of lean body mass. And so I'm eating. Yesterday I had 600 grams of carbs. Today I'm having 700, and tomorrow I'm having 800. And it's amazing. I mean, dude, I'm eating everything and anything. Like this morning I had 500 grams of white rice with breakfast and a bowl of
What else did you
cereal, and
have? What else did you
this
have
and that.
with breakfast? 500 grams of rice.
So for my breakfast this morning was 500 grams of rice, egg white omelet with 3 slices of ham. It was a 3 egg white omelet. Um,
What's wrong with the yolk?
Nothing wrong with the yolk. I mean, I've been on this cut for a while now, so I just kind of I've been eating egg whites, and the thing is with like a carb loading, you have to keep your fats low, and basically get your glycogen stores stored up. So if you overdo the fat, your body kind of stops pulling all the glycogen you're giving it, all the carbs you're giving it, and it starts to kind of use more of the fat. So it kind of it's counterintuitive because you want your body to pull all the carbs, use the glycogen, and store your muscles. So the way that the protocol goes is you basically up your carbs, you lower your fats. I've been eating only around 80 grams of fat a day anyway, so I'm going down to 50, 60 grams now. Yesterday I had 51. But you basically do this, up your carbs a shit ton, and then basically when you're going into lifting, you have like a very short, you know, like a quick fatigue workout where you're going high reps, low weight, get a pump in and get the blood flowing through your muscles. You want to get them like kind of just activated. So today I did a light full body workout, um, and I enjoyed it. Yesterday, I didn't really get to reap the benefits of the high carbs because I started really eating higher carbs after my workout. So I didn't really get any pumps or anything like that. But tomorrow, the gym, I'm excited for. And why am I doing this? There's really no reason at all, actually. I just wanted wanted to change something up, and I was just like I said, a little tired, a little like just not really motivated at the gym. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not sitting here training for a show or anything. So why not just do a carb load for 3 days? Usually you do this as a, for a carb loading. You do this prior to your show. Like a bodybuilder at the end of their cut, they're shot, no body fat. Their carbs are depleted completely, and they're just running on fumes. So they do this carb load. And the thing is, when you're running on fumes, your muscles are as well. Your muscles don't really have, they're not really full, or they're kind of flat, even though, yeah, they're huge. But like bodybuilders, they're still kind of flat compared to what they could be. So this carb load kind of is like the final kind of pump up. You literally pump your muscles up. Essentially, what it looks like if you look at a video of like or a picture before and after of a bodybuilder, like before and after carb loading, leading up to a show, you can see a big difference, especially in vascularity. It gives them that full look, gives them that like thin skin look. You know when you look at bodybuilders and like there's just their thin looks like it's paper thin. their skin. I'm saying that's kind of what it comes from. Obviously, they have no fat, but even the muscles, like if you have no fat and you don't, your muscles aren't full like that, you don't really get that look. So, um, I'm not gonna look like that, but I'll take 75% of that. So, that's what I've been doing this weekend. Literally, I've been studying, sleeping, studying, sleeping, eating, studying, sleeping. Yesterday I watched The Big Short. Good movie.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Um, it's the first time I really sat down and watched. Well, I watched one the other day with Tally, but about myself that I can remember. And I was excited to, like I wanted to watch it. It was in my schedule to watch that movie. Um, and I got it on free on YouTube, which is cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, but yeah, life is good, dude. Life is good. How about you? You got a whirlwind of events this weekend for you. Let's hear it. I
Ah,
gotta dive into your head.
oh, I've been on a roller coaster for about 2 weeks now, I think. Up and down every day, left and right, little backflips and whatnot. But yeah, I just been honestly for about 2 weeks. You talk about a mental fog. I been the opposite of taking care of myself, to be honest. Along with farming and along with the stress of moving, which I obviously, those listening, I have decided not to do. But I was just like I said, I just wasn't myself for about 2 weeks, and I was trying to figure it out. Like trying to figure out, was it, you know, mental? Was it physical? Was it upcoming? Was it past? And I just was like really conflicted about everything. And so honestly, we'll just start yesterday. Yesterday I started packing, and I just, like for the past couple of days, I was just feeling this like rejection in my entire body, like my brain, like don't do it. Like I didn't want to do anything, and it was just like full brakes, no gas. It was tough to move. And so I'm talking to my family. I'm talking to the people around me. I'm making phone calls left and right just to get different perspectives, and maybe talk out something, maybe get an enlightening moment. You got one of those calls too, but I just what the conclusion I've kind of come to is that I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I wasn't committed, and I haven't been committed to anything else I've been doing, whether it be the sales gig, whether it be the beer delivery driver, and whether it be this upcoming potential opportunity that I turned down with doing the neurophysiology. And I was like, what is something that I can dive into, that I want to put work into, that I want to give my all to, that I have energy for? So like that was kind of my process yesterday, is just trying to figure out like where does my passion lie, that I can, continue to grow, continue to evolve, and continue to push the envelope in that direction. And I think um that's a lot of where I've been, because like I kind of explained it yesterday. When ball ended, it felt like life ended. And I know we've kind of alluded to it in the past or whatever, that like, but whenever it all ended, I just kind of like lost, I don't want to say sense of self, but like sense of drive. And like I would
I'd say
go
part of yourself is in there as well.
right, and so I would go a week strong, and I'd go for my morning runs, and then all of a sudden the next week I was dragging out of bed like, why am I doing this? Like, whoa, like just a mopey slug really. And so it was just cyclical, and I, like I said, I wasn't really taking care of myself. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't exercising. And I just was like, I'm gonna air quote this, and depressed, and then like adding the stress and the pressure of, hey, like you got to get ready to move, and like not really knowing what's going on, and like trying to figure it all out, and just not really having any clarity within, really. And so then like I get information, so I have clarity without, or from the outside in. So now I have clarity of what's coming up, and then like all that pressure just mounted into this like 2 or 3 day of just, I don't know, I was stressed beyond, I don't even know how to describe it, but like I felt like I was, like I wrote it in my journal, like I felt like I was underwater and I was immovable, and like the water just kept rising and the pressure just kept increasing. So then that's where I kind of came to the conclusion. I was like, I got to go do something that I'm passionate about. So like I kind of settled on like I got to jump into coaching. Like I like when I pick up a book, like I want to get to know about like the philosophy or how to create winning or how to create environments. Like that is where my passion lies, and I think the field that I can do that in is coaching. So, you know, being patient in that avenue and just going full bore for it, you know. So that's kind of
Yeah.
my decision making in my past, and that like it's a brief summary, but that's kind of where I'm at mentally as far as like why I did what I did.
I mean, you haven't had much time to reflect on it, but when you look back and you think about how you handle this past week, let's say, what do you come up with if you even have really thought about it?
Well, let's go like yesterday. So I call Matt, and like the minute and I tell him, and like the minute I'm off the phone, like I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. So like I wish I would have like even the whole like accepting the job, and then let's jump to that part. Like he offers me the job like a month and a half ago. Let's say 2 months ago. It took me the entire time. Like the deadline was Friday, you know, and I was like, man, like I was struggling with it, and I was again talking with my family, trying to figure out is this the right decision, because I was doing something that I was not, again, not passionate about. Like I was getting better at sales and talking on the phone, but like going to work every day wasn't. I wouldn't call it fun. I wouldn't call it exciting. Like I was dreading it. So the process there, the last 2 months is just. I don't want to say I was distracting myself, but when farming picked up, I just was like, man, I'll just dive into farming. So like I was just diving into anything to get me away from what my potential reality was. And so like I wasn't studying, I wasn't putting any effort into it as far as the upcoming job of neurophysiology. And so it's like I my mind and my body and my spirit were telling me I wasn't like committed to it. Like when you sent me your resume and cover letter, like I read your cover letter and I was like, dude, like this guy is like, you exuded passion in your words. And I was like, I never felt that way towards it. So I asked myself, like, these were the questions that I asked myself, was like, what am I passionate about?
Hmm.
Where can I exude that type of passion? That way that it's almost like a fail safe. Cause if I'm passionate about it or I love it or I want to do it, then I won't stop until I succeed type of deal. Like exactly your same mentality, but again, I had to love it. I had to want to learn about it rather than, oh, well, it's another opportunity, like I might as well try it. I think that would have been an ignorant thing to do and show up half in, half out, you know. And I don't know. We kind of talked about it on the phone a little bit. It's like, well, you can't be scared to try new things, and I don't think that's the issue. Like I know that I need to leave. I know that I need to get out on my own, and like that is coming. But just doing it to do it, I don't know is the right attitude that I needed to go do this.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I just think I think your interpretation of my passion or excitement or whatever word you want to use towards the job itself initially is a little misplaced because I didn't have anything else. I just retired. I was actually still at the Twins when I made that resume. And I didn't have anything else. I felt like this was my opportunity talking with Lisa and getting just falling into my lap. This opportunity where the guys tell me it's just like, starting salary is this. And I was just like, is this even real? You know, I just felt like it was fake. Like I can't believe I was given this opportunity to do something outside of baseball. I didn't know what the job entailed. Like I said, like I started studying dermatome mapping. I didn't know what the job even was. Come to know, dermatome mapping has nothing to do with what we do. But I was thrilled at the prospect of doing something outside of baseball that I could possibly be good at. And yeah, like be good at is with asterisks because like how good I become at it is a matter of how much I'm willing to put into it. It's really it. So it's like I can be good at anything. I'm not worried about. Like I can go and tomorrow I can be accepted into an MBA program, let's say. And I don't have any business background, but it's just like, okay, if I'm in that program, if they give me the opportunities, well, if I'm am I going to pass or am I not? And the only thing that's going to get in the way of me passing is just me putting my head down and studying and working at it. And it may be incredibly difficult because I'm not a math guy, but it's just an example. Like I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But one of the things that I know, and I don't mean to put you down at all, but I lived it my whole life with my dad. All right, he achieved basically the highest level of coaching you can achieve to a certain extent. He was a silver medalist. I almost said silver medalist at the in the Olympics 2004 in Athens with Team Italy. He coached the Italian national basketball team for years on end. He coached the Ukrainian national basketball team for a while. Um, and on top of all that, that was stuff he was doing in the summers on the side. But he was with the New Jersey Nets for 30 years, nearly. He was a strength and conditioning coach and assistant coach in the NBA. So as a coach, that's essentially for your sport, it's one of the highest things you could achieve. And there's no security. He had contracts just like a player. Every contract would be 1 4 years. He wasn't getting like a 10-year contract. No one did that. You just get renewed. And one day after all these years, after all the success that he had there, after the team success, all these years, team starts not doing too well. And the difference in professional sports is that it's not the coach's fault, or it's not the player's fault. It's the coach's fault. College, amateur, and even minors. Let's say before you get to the highest level, it's players before coaches. The highest level is the coaches before the players. And in 2012, I want to say, no, 2011, 2010, 11, something like that. The Nets had a really terrible season, almost broke the record for losses. Um, and one of the things that was annoying was that they got this player in Darren Williams, and he brought his own trainer there, and he was doing a lot of things on his own, this and that, and whatever. So, they ended up firing my dad and the whole coaching staff after the season they had, that bad season, and brought in a whole new coaching staff, hiring the players' trainer because they were paying him God knows how many, like probably close to $100 million. And my dad got the shit end of the stick, which is normal. It's not like it's poor him. It's just that's the nature of the business. And I saw that. I experienced what the volatility in life in baseball. Never made the big money, but still the volatility was. I experienced probably more so in the minors than you even do in the big leagues because at least you have some type of cushion in the big leagues. Um, but I don't want to get into that. I wanted to do something outside of sports. I wanted to prove to myself that I can do something outside of sports. I didn't want to jump right into it and fall into that category of the players. Like I said, I'm not trying to knock you down, but I don't want to fall into those players that, retire and become coaches and after a while basically lose the opportunity to do something else and they kind of back themselves into a corner. And I don't want to be that. I wanted to go back into coaching if God calls me back into coaching. I wanted to do it organically. I wanted to do it that I have something else and I can go into coaching because I feel that pull to it, not because I rely on it. And I'm not saying you're going to be this way, but like, the kids that are still like, flipping balls to kids and doing private lessons at 30 years old because there's nothing like I I've seen them my whole life and we were always training. It's always cold, just like New Jersey is. It's like in the winter, where are you training? Where are you getting your work in? Well, you're doing it, in facilities. So you're seeing all these guys. And I know a lot of guys that around my area, same deal, professional guys that released, and I just didn't want that. So I was thrilled at the opportunity to have something outside of that, to give me an opportunity, give me a chance to get outside of the game, outside of sports, and challenge myself in something completely different. And the only difference I would say between you and I was that I didn't have to move all that far away. But I will say, I was having this conversation with my mom yesterday. Actually, I would have. I would have moved away for it. And that's not a testament to, me saying I'm better than you, or I'm more passionate about it than you, or I had more ambition. It's more just I would have done it because that's how that's how certain I was that I didn't want to go into coaching immediately. That I wanted to get outside the sport. I wanted to prove to myself that I'm capable of something outside of the sport and have success at something outside of it. And that's kind of where I was at mentally. And I definitely was prepared to move. I was
And
kind
you're
of surprised that it was going to be a New York thing. That's kind of where I was at. So,
and you're
you
doing
know,
it. Like you're
it was
crushing it.
yeah, I'm doing it.
You
And
know
I'm
what I
proud of
mean?
myself for
Like,
it because I didn't know where it was going to take me. I didn't know, dude, when I went into training, I was prepared. So, I've learned that it's easier to assume the worst. And even if it's a shade below or a step below the worst, it's still better in your eyes because you assumed it was going to be hell. You know what I'm saying? Not saying how hard can it actually be? Because anything worse than that is like, oh shit. I literally thought it was gonna be the worst 6 weeks of my life. Not in a sense of like worry or anything like that. It was more like I'm not gonna have time to do anything. I'm gonna be studying all day, every day, because that's what it's gonna take. And I got to training, I didn't realize how much my studying actually helped me. We're doing physiology, we're doing stuff like that, and like I knew it all. I had studied it, and I wasn't studying all this crazy stuff. Like I sent you the stuff that I studied, and I took notes on it, and I just memorized it. I literally just memorized it, and things that they would hint at in class and say something about like brains during brain surgeries. I knew I wasn't gonna have to do them, but I thought this was something to memorize immediately. So I went back home and I just memorized the shit out of it. What's an example? Is like the circle of Willis is basically the blood supply to the brain. How it's like the arteries, how they're all interconnected into the brain. I memorized that in one night. And I go there the next day, assuming we were going to be tested on, assuming we were doing all this stuff, and then we jumped to something different. And now I have this embedded in my brain. And now people that are doing this exam that I'm studying for, it's like, oh, Circle of Willis, man, Circle of Willis, Circle of Willis. I'm like, I memorized that a week in the training, and it's just how I was kind of how I did it. I just I don't know. I just wanted to do it the best I possibly could, and
well, and
in
that's where
my
our
resume, yeah.
that's where our difference lies. That's what I was saying. Is like I was half in and half out, and like if I'm half in, half out, like you're gonna get a mediocre effort, and that's just like we've talked about on here. Like that's just not the person that I want to be anymore. I've done that. So if I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something, I
No,
want
and
to do it to the best of my ability, you know. So like when I like that's what I
no,
call
I'm not
passion.
saying
That's
you're
what I call
wrong.
passion for you. Like when I read it, I was like, damn, like he
Yeah, I'm
wants to
just,
do
but
that. Like
but I think that's where the confusion is though. It's not passion for the job. It's passion for commitment. I
yeah,
had a line in my resume, or I have a line where or no, it was in my cover letter. Um, Trying to read it off the top of my head. I can't remember it word for word, but basically, I said that I'm a perfectionist at heart. This isn't a paraphrasing it. It's like whether it be baseball or neurophysiology, I'm a perfectionist at heart. So baseball wasn't who I was. It was the outlet for the perfectionist in me to come out. So now without baseball, I'm still that perfectionist. And no matter what I'm doing, if I put my name behind it, if I put my word behind it, especially that's the thing. If I put my word behind it, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability because that's who I am. That's how I am. And my only my only critique, I would say, in like the whole situation, I would say, I wish two things. And I just wish that you would have said something earlier. Not in the sense of like say something you did. I mean, you backed out earlier. I wish you had backed out a little earlier because I think deep down you knew you weren't going. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe really you figured that out yesterday, and it was like a whole come to Jesus moment. But I have a heart. I believe that you knew you weren't going to go. Like you just knew in your heart of hearts that this wasn't you, and you didn't want to do it. And I just wish you had said something earlier. But more so than that, I think what, and this is comparing to myself. I'm not sitting here bashing you. It's just me comparing to how I treat things. This is what I'm speaking based off of, not the general person. But when I put my word behind something, it's not like, oh, I give my word and now I have to do it. The thought is done prior to giving my word. You know what I'm saying? It's like I try to do my best to think of all scenarios, everything where someone can lead prior to giving my word, because I know that once I give someone my word, you can trust me with everything, and that's something I take very personal. That's something I'm very proud of myself for, because I truly live by those standards. And I think and the only thing you have to be able to do prior in order to make that happen and be able to live that way is just to really make sure that before you say something, before you make a commitment to something, you can at least be aware of everything that's involved. And if you can say that, it's like, all right, like I essentially what I'm saying is you could have. If I was in your position, I probably would have felt the anxiety before I gave my word, and that would have made me not give. I would have made me back out early. You know what I'm saying? Because
And I did.
that that's kind of where I was at.
And
What do
I
you mean you
did
did?
feel it early. So like I took my
Yeah,
entirety
I
of
know you
my
did. Yeah,
time.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And like there was anxiety there. Like there was anxiety saying yes. So like that decision was different than yesterday's decision. Like in the manner of like, hey, like this is a new opportunity. This is something to, potentially change your life. Like it not potentially, it would have changed my life dramatically. And and there was a lot of anxiety about it, and like there was the same conversations that were happening. It wasn't like he offered me the job and 20 minutes later I said yes. Like he offered me the job, and like the deadline was Friday. He said Friday, and I think I even I thought I took that as Thursday night, and I went into Thursday night, and I don't know if I slept that Thursday night. I was like, man, like I don't know what to do, and I'm going to work, and I'm trying to figure. Like I got an hour drive in, and I'm like, I still don't like. And so maybe you're right. Like I was flipping coins, I was trying to figure it out, but like I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt just of the way that you spoke about it, and I was like, man, like maybe this is life changing, like this is it. And then like so I go
Well, I
in,
think that's
and I,
that's where you back yourself into a corner right there.
exactly.
That's it. It's not.
Right. So and that's kind
Like
of the enlightenment I came to, yesterday. Is like it's just I don't again. It would be just another job for me if I'm half in, half out.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, well, like I have to do something I'm passionate about, and I think that's like accumulation of like life or God showing me that like all of these things I did, like the beer truck driver, I didn't. I mean, I did it for the dollar bill, and then all of a sudden this PSP job offer comes up, and I'm doing it for the dollar bill. Like, oh, if I just put in a year and a half of experience, and my MBA kicks in. Well, I've never really been all that passionate about my MBA in general. Like I did my MBA because I was relatively smart, and my high school helped me out with college credits, and I graduated in 3 years. So like the ball played into there, and then I wanted to go play ball at SEC, and I just was and I like I bought that book, like that textbook. It's $100 book, like it's not like a $15-$20 book, and like I would open it up, and I was just like, man, I can't wait to put this down. So like I was running it, and yeah, and I agree with you on the sense of I should have told him earlier. But again, it goes back to that conversation we had on the phone 2 or 3 days ago. It was like that's just fear talking. So I was like, okay, like let fear pass and just continue to move forward. And then like it was like 3 or 4 days of just like I don't even know. It was like a full body experience on 2 days ago. I was like, man, I don't want to.
I
I don't even
realized.
know.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying? So like
I
I don't
realized
know.
yesterday when you called me. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I realized yesterday when you called me. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want it to come off wrong, but I realized yesterday when you called me how bad of a place you were in mentally, because I gave you the benefit of the doubt in the sense that you were nervous, right? But I still thought that you were in. I still thought that you were the one in control to a certain extent. Like you, the person that I know you are. I thought that was the person who was, still kind of under control of things. You can be anxious, you can be scared, but like at your core, knowing it's like, all right, like let's go, foot down. You know what I mean? Like, still, but you're still in control. Yesterday, I realized after you made that decision last minute that you were not yourself. And I'm not saying that you made the wrong decision or right. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think if you're your normal cerebral self, the person that I've spent a lot of time with over the years, I think you handle that situation different. And not in the sense, like I said, I'm not here lecturing you. That's not my point. My point is, I think even Zach handled that situation differently if you're in complete control. Like, I didn't realize how much you were actually struggling with it. I
Didn't
was
came
like,
off
wow,
as.
huh?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah,
it was
yeah.
pretty rough.
Because I even after the conversation we had the other day, um, in full disclosure, like not so much disclosure, but in transparency, I talked to Tally about it afterwards, and you were on speaker for a little bit, so like she heard some of the conversation, um, and I just I don't know. I said to her, I was like, I mean, yeah, he's scared, but he's gonna be good. Like he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. And like I said, I didn't think you were gonna actually make that decision. Um, but it is what
Well,
it is.
it wasn't a fear of like learning the material. It was just like it was a fear of being like of committing to it. Like I like 2 years. It was a 2 year commitment. Else you have a dollar sign penalty, and it's just like, man, like again, what if I get there and I'm in the same miserable place that I am right now? Like I have to change something first before I go do this. Anything.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, yeah,
And like when I listen to you tell your story of how you got into this, it's like, man, like mentally we are in two different places. Like I don't know. Like I didn't have that necessarily. Like I to me, my perspective is I've gained a lot of knowledge like through the game, and it doesn't even have to do with like necessarily the game of baseball. It's more about like how to handle life, and I think the way that I impact people is through that experience or through that lens. So you know I don't know. My dad wasn't a coach, so I didn't have that experience of the volatility, and I see the volatility, but it's just
yeah.
like
And
there's
so I
no.
didn't mean
I
that
don't.
as a
No,
push
I
you away
not.
from it.
I know it, but it's just like there's no way. Like to me, it's like how do I help as many people as possible? Well, I mean, you can impact a lot of people. Like I did a lot of coaching, not a lot of coaching, but I got into coaching the JUCO, and like those were like my most fruitful days. Because I felt that I was actually making an impact. And even if I wasn't, it was like, man, like, at least I gotta be there. So,
Yeah,
it's like, what is my calling, or what do I want to do? It's like, well, like, if I'm gonna commit to something, let's go after that. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll we'll readjust. And dude, I in a panic, I applied to a different job, and I probably could have. I mean, if I would have called him back, I probably would have got offered. So it's just like, man, it's not about. To me, it was like it's no longer about job X, Y, or Z. It's like, okay, I can do what I am passionate about, so let's go do it. Like I think that's what my proof was. There is like you tried this, you tried this, you tried this. Like you never poured your heart into any of them. What's gonna be different about this new thing? Like why would you pour your heart into this new thing? It's like, or like even just your effort, not even your heart, just that effort to go do it. And I like that's what I needed to come to terms with. Really, is like, okay, well, if I'm not, then I can't go. because
Yeah, I mean,
then I'm
I
not
hear you.
representing myself to my fullest ability, in my opinion.
You know that part exactly. Like I agree with that, and that is what I'm saying with the sense that like giving your word at the beginning. It's like you knew that there was no passion with regard to it before you accepted the offer. So what I'm saying is like it was decisions like, am I willing to study and get better at this before I even know anything about, before I even show up? And most likely the answer is no already.
I wouldn't
You
say
know,
that.
I don't know. I just
I mean, I literally
yeah,
went out and bought the book, so I wouldn't say it was not that. Like we
yeah.
kind of talked about, like if it was in St. Louis, maybe it would be different.
Hmm.
You know, so I do find what you do interesting.
And I realize I think the idea that you were kind of very glass half empty for a little bit, which is normal when you're in that state of mind. I think you didn't allow yourself to see the positivities of what the positive you're doing. I can't say I leave work every single day fully exhilarated. I leave work every single day. Like I change someone's life. The surge is the change in people's lives. They're changing people's lives. But there's many instances to where I leave and I say, I if I wasn't there, that surgeon would not have been comfortable to do what he did to change that person's life. And in some instances, if I wasn't in that room, that person's life would be different. That's happened a few times. And it makes the job way more meaningful for me. Being in the room for a brain surgery and, an aneurysm being clipped. And if they're trying to clip the aneurysm and we're not in the room, and let's say, this is just hypothetical, say they clipped, the middle cerebral artery, for example, and the blood flow to the left arm gets shot, and we see it, the surgeon can respond. He can fix it. He doesn't know that the left arm has no blood whatsoever, or it's getting occluded, or there's ischemia, or whatever the deal is. Like the impact that we make is important and is impactful, and especially when you start getting into more like complex cases in terms of scoliosis and stuff like that. And I think you knew that, that, and I just wish you would have not changed it wouldn't have changed your decision, but at least made the decision with the mindset of, yes, I'm not doing what I'm passionate about, but I'm not doing this because I want to make a difference. As a matter of fact, you could have made a difference in both scenarios in people's lives, and it's just a matter of what you wanted to decide, like which way you wanted to impact people's lives. And I listen. I love coaching. I love the idea of coaching. I love the whole, not the feeling I get. I love the idea that you grow relationships with people, with players, and they really trust your opinion. Not as if you're better than them or they trust you more than they trust themselves, but they look to you for positivity, look for you for like to help them progress. And honestly, I don't think I would make a great baseball coach. I think I'd make a way better life coach.
What is
And not
baseball?
like, well, that's the thing. Like baseball is just,
what's the difference? I guess is my question.
you can impact way more lives the other way.
I
I
mean,
think if
how?
I think if I coached a basketball player or a baseball player, or if I coached a basketball, baseball player, and a construction worker, I don't know. I think I can impact all three of their lives equally.
Yeah, I agree.
And it has nothing to do with the sport. And as a matter of fact, I don't even know. Oh, I just crushed that ant.
But I agree with you. But like
But you know
that's
what I'm saying? Like yeah, I think yeah, no, that's kind of after going to tread, I realized I don't know as much about baseball as I thought I did, and I mean that with all humility, as like just as humble as possible. And I mean, like I know a lot about baseball. We both know a lot about the sport, but there's coaches that are better than me. There's coaches that can offer more to a player pitching wise. I can help. Go to tread. Go to P3. Like I'm not going to help you the way they can. And but I offer something different in the sense, just a mentality. So, and I think that's where you you thrive in as well in the coaching aspect. Uh,
correct.
the idea of like helping a player mechanically is fine, but it's like almost like how do you allow them to make those adjustments mechanically? It's like letting go of their mind, letting go of the fear. And I heard something the other day that I mean Jordan Peterson said it, man. And it really stuck with me. It almost came to turn, made me realize exactly what my issue was in sports in general. Like like exactly what my issue became. And he's basically talking about anxiety, performance anxiety, right? And it's just like if I'm on stage and I start thinking about myself, his saying is thinking about yourself is literally the definition of being miserable. There's no difference. If you're constantly thinking about yourself, you're going to constantly be miserable. The only way to enjoy life, the only way to give out love and to pursue happiness and do is to give, is to be for someone else. Like whether it be your marriage, friends, community, whatever it is. Like it's not possible to be a, a happy person if the only thing you think about is yourself. So he literally says, like, if you think about yourself, there's no difference between that and being miserable. And now he was talking about performance anxiety. It's like if I get on stage and I start thinking about myself, I start thinking about how I'm this, I start thinking about me stuttering this word, and I think about how that's going to be perceived, how people are going to think of me, I'm going to cripple. And I was just like, well, what's the difference between that and pitching? What's the difference? Honestly, pitching, you're the center.
There's none.
You
There's
know,
none.
there's none. And what was I worried about in college? I was worried about the scouts. I was worried about what they thought of me. I was worried about if they thought that I was still good after all my injuries. I worried if the people liked me, if I look good in my uniform, if I, it's like real things. I'm talking. This is 100% true, and it's embarrassing, but at the same time, it's true. And like after my injuries happened, that's where my mind went. It was never about doing it for the joy of it anymore. Doing it because I thought I was good at it, because I knew I was good at it. It was like to prove to people that I was still myself, And it was I was doing it for the wrong reasons, And it crippled me. And um, if I could help a player, I don't know. I don't even know how you do it, dude. I don't know how you get to a player in that sense. Like
Well, you just
you
have
have to
to
help them find
relate
meaning.
to them. Yeah, you
You have to help
have
them
to.
find meaning.
Yeah,
And
it's
but the thing is,
conversations.
if I'm in that state, right? I don't know how I get out of it. Going back, if I had a coach talking to me, right? Because I had all the sport in the world.
Well, did you have
I don't know how I
awareness?
got
Did you
through
have
it.
awareness of it at the time of like that was an actual problem, or were you just aware of it? Like, oh, I'm thinking about myself. Like, I don't, you know.
I think the only way out of it would have been to accept I'm nowhere near where I could have been and let go of that. And the only thing I can do is be the best version of where I'm at now and build
Right.
myself back up. I basically would have had to become humble enough to say, I'm not good enough right now to be the version of myself that I think that I am. So I have to step down and start thinking of myself as a guy who is going to be struggling to get drafted. I think that's the only way I would have been able to get through that. Because then in my mind, I don't give a fuck. Like I know I'm a nobody right now. I'm just gonna go out and just do it because like I'm not sitting here trying to be the version of myself I was in the past. I think that's the only way I would have gotten through it. And you tell me, someone who got offered $1.5 million going into his freshman year of college, you know, and then his freshman year of college being for third team ACC, being a top 10 prospect on the national team, being a Saturday starter as a freshman, that was his number 2 national seed, and then being a nobody his sophomore year. You know, it maybe not sophomore year, but junior year, yes.
Well, like,
And my
our
mind never
sorry.
shifted. My mind never shifted from the idea that I'm worth millions of dollars when I wasn't, because my mind wasn't. My mind was not worth that much money. My body maybe, but my mind wasn't. And obviously, your mind takes over your body. So I I wish I had answers then, but like I said, I wouldn't be who I am now without it.
Correct.
So like, I guess to alter the conversation, like if I have a player that's struggling that way, right? How do I even pull it out of
Think
them?
about how well you could help them.
Yeah, but the thing is, if the player's in the situation that I was in, right? I was too prideful to talk about it.
Okay.
So
Well,
how's the coach going to get it out of me?
because I think you would know, and I think you would just speak to them, and then it's up to them. Because I bet there's an instance where somebody did come up to you or somebody spoke to you, and maybe you did or did not listen.
No, I
Because
never
like
listened for the
I
most
have
part.
a lot of those instances where ego was my worst enemy, you know.
Hmm.
But like, look what happened the other day. Your buddy gets on, and I think you text me 2 or 3 days later, and you're like, dude, he had the best outing of his life.
Yeah,
And we just had a very simple conversation here, and you know,
I
and I'm not
talked to him
saying.
actually. I called him.
And how'd that go?
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll talk about it after.
Well, like, to me, there's a lot of correlation with that. And I'm not saying it's all us. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying just the conversations help so much, and like all three of us were open about it, and like those are the conversations where like I had a buddy like that. His name's DC, and you know he'll come to me, and then all of a sudden like he's doing good for a week, and it's all good, and then like I'm having a problem, and I go to him, and it's just like back and forth, and same with us, and that openness, that vulnerability allows for both of us to get better because we had to talk through whatever is or is not holding us back. But go ahead.
100%.
You know.
No, 100%. I that conversation, that environment for like essentially the idea that like if I was comfortable on every single team in the minor leagues, I would have never struggled. Because for me, comfort being around the guys and openness and being me, that is directly tied to my ability to perform. If everyone in that locker room knows who I am, how I am, what I like, just knows me, I thrive. You know, and the example of that is like I struggled in Double A big time. My best friend came on board. Got called up. He was my throwing partner every day in high A and low A that year. We both went 3 levels together. We talked about it in the past. He immediately gets called up and I have my best outing of the year in Double A. My last outing of the year, actually, in Tulsa. And it was something about having him in their locker room, something about having him in the bullpen with me, talking, shooting the shit. He's my boy. Having him there, I felt comfort. I felt at peace, like someone knew me. Someone was pushing for me, pulling for me. Not like the other guys weren't, but it's different. You know, and I'd imagine that if you and I were on the same team together, I think both of our play would be better. Not because, you know, of we having great conversation all the time. I just think the comfort of you knowing you can come to me and there's someone on that team at the field always that's just like empathetic and is willing to help you and listen and striving and pulling for you. It's important. If you feel good about it, and it stems from those conversations, of course. But basically, the conversation I had with Austin after, about a week or so after, he got called to AAA. By the way, I'm not sure if I told
Cool. That's
you.
phenomenal.
Yes, he got called up to AAA. He had two good outings in AA. Um, two good outings in AA after the conversation we had with him. Um, Not like it mattered. Like I don't think that really made a big difference. Definitely, maybe I think the day of maybe gave him a nice little clarity going into his outing. I think it definitely helped him a little bit mentally. I'm not saying we.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
It just did. I just know it did. Even if he doesn't admit it, I know just having the conversation with whoever it is, being open, being vulnerable, it helps. It just does. But then he had two great outings in AA. They got hold up. And his first outing in AAA struggled big time. Like three homers. I think he let up like 5 runs. Just struggled. So I called him maybe a few days after his first outing, or maybe no, he had a good outing, a decent outing, second outing, double and AAA, and I called him. We're just talking, whatever, and he didn't say once anything about like the conversation or like like I said, I don't. I know it didn't. Like that's not what he was thinking, but um, he was saying that his problem's not pitching in Double A. It wasn't competing in Double A. It was just competing in Triple A. That was his. That's where the a lot of the issues came. So just working through that and just the battle. And I asked him kind of how he felt, in the locker room, the guys, if he felt good, and he said he felt chill, very at peace with things. So seems like he's in a better place mentally than he was last time he was in Triple A, which is good. Um, but yeah, we just started talking about other stuff a while afterwards too. But definitely glad we caught up. But I'll definitely keep up with him more often. Um, but yeah, he's doing it.
Well, right.
I want to go see John Olson.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see him. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think having those conversations, being open, vulnerable, it 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 just helps you mesh with the guys. And yes, is it realistic to think you're going to be close like that with the whole team? No, obviously. But it's just like having your core guys, and I didn't really do a good job of that for the most part. I experienced that in 2022 when I made that one really close friend, and my season was great, and I'd say that helped me big time. But
Well, like just
but yeah.
even us, like relating our story to it, is like rehab definitely went better when we started doing our thing. For me, it's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
not to say that you were challenging me, but like we were walking in the same direction and we were facing different problems, but we were facing the same problem. And so then we could communicate about it, and then we could learn from it, and then we could grow from it, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it like rehab made me a better person, period. But those instances where you have like there was different people along the journey that took me to different spots, and like yours was like the closing chapter of my rehab. But like I really I really took off as a human being there, of who I was, who I wanted to, and I started walking in that way. So
Mhm.
it was really fun for me to look back and see that growth of getting out of that immaturity and getting out of like all of those things, and watching my like path grow from stage to stage, and then just taking it one step farther. So like without you, maybe it's different, or and that's kind
Yeah,
of
and
my point.
I noticed a significant difference in the whole experience after you left. It was a big difference. Um, big difference.
Because there
And
was such a freedom. There was a freedom to communicate whatever was
yeah,
on my mind and my soul,
yeah,
without the fear of judgment, or well, you know what I mean, with the
yeah,
ability to work through the problem from my end.
yeah. No, I'll look back on those memories, and the thing is, it's crazy is that it's all about perception, really. Like you and I both, right? I can speak for myself, but we're both in similar situations. I'm not sure if we feel the same way, but we were in positions to where our careers weren't in a good place. They just weren't. You know, you didn't know what was in the mix, how they were thinking about you after you got signed off. You didn't know what their plan was. I'd imagine they had these plans somewhat in their mind. You weren't aware of them, obviously, but
Oh, I knew. Yeah.
you said you thought about it. You said you thought about it because you knew that they started treating you differently in the training room, this and that. But even that was like the last few days prior,
Yeah.
prior to it happening. But dude, I just signed with. I was just free agent, right? I just signed with the Twins, and I get hurt after a month. I wasn't once thinking about my career, dude. Only thing I wanted to do was just enjoy life,
Yep.
be present, and enjoy it. And that was the only I like. Those are like honestly the happiest moments. Like I mean, I'm still. It's almost an extension of that, just like building on it. I don't look back and say I was happier then than I am now, but I look back and I'm proud of myself for being able to enjoy it the way it was in those circumstances. You know, um, I thoroughly was just thrilled to just be there and be alive and just enjoy. I didn't think. As a matter of fact, I didn't really care to leave. And it was almost like that's when I knew it was time to like that baseball wasn't really 100% there for me anymore because it wasn't about the baseball anymore. It was just about living and enjoying life. And like I noticed that I wasn't enjoying it nearly as much when you weren't there. And I got my work in, whatever, but not having the game at that night and not having all that bullshit of like all that anxiety, that stressors that I would feel with regard to it, and just lifting and getting my work in, and us just going out and just enjoying and living, and you know, not even doing so much like going to bars or having like yeah, we went to a few times just to go and sit there and relax and just chill and just honestly be by ourselves, you know, literally be by ourselves, and we'd make fun of each other for it, but like we would literally
You're like, what are you doing?
literally
I'm
be by
I'm
ourselves.
sitting in a bar. You're like, why?
Yeah, like yeah, literally. But the thing is, it was fun. Like we would go to like the Twin Peaks and just sit there and just like have conversations with people and like live. I've never done that before ever, and you pulled that out of me. And going to the beach, and it was never some. It was never because my whole life it's always been. And I'm not sure if you felt the same or feel the same, but I've always been the kind of person to where you know I do something because I have to do it, right? I go to work, whatever. But when I have my free time, when I have my downtime, I don't do anything. I'm very like still to oriented, right? And that was the first time where I was always on the go, but with someone who I felt had the same purpose as me. So I felt like I was living. I felt like I was doing these things, but not in a way to stay busy, but because this was exactly what I needed to be doing, you know? And I would have actually been doing myself a disservice if I had been staying still and just laying in my room and reading, because that's not what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be on the go. I wanted to be doing these things, and that was the first time ever where it was like that. Because I mean, even here, I got invited to a housewarming party the other day. I was gonna go because Tyler was going, but she got called. She's on standby. She got called on Friday.
You still
It was
go?
Friday night. No, I did not go.
What?
No, I didn't go. Okay. Listen.
Listen.
With all due respect, with all due respect to some of these friends here, they're friends, they're acquaintances for the most part. I have two buddies that are friends, good friends, but for the most part, everyone else they're all acquaintances. I went out with them a few times prior to coming up to Hoboken. When I was living here, and it took me it didn't take me long to realize what their intentions were for going out. It's not getting to know each other better, not about having some just a nice time out in the town with each other and just having conversation and talking. It's about going out, drinking, and that's it. And I have no place for that in my life. I don't have not no place for it. There's no utility for it in my life. I have no desire to do that. There's no purpose for it. But if people that are I Brandon, for example, Brandon's a good example. If you guys are here and we go to a bar, the bar doesn't seem like the same bar as I would go to if I were with other people. because it's a different experience. What's happening there between us is different. And I've said it in the past. Like I'd rather be alone than be with the wrong people, be with people that I don't feel like.
Amen to that.
I'd rather be alone. And I will say this. I will say this. Okay, this is just being as open as possible. And this is something that it's kind of crazy, but I really this on Friday I really thought about it, and I was like, this is a sign. Not saying they're bad people, but that it's just their acquaintances. There's no need to be any further than that. I last year there was a party, big surprise party for my buddy's birthday. Well, I've been working this job for over a year, for about a year now. All the time this could have happened. It happened on this one night. I was on call on the weekend. I show up to the hospital Saturday morning at like 6:30. I have 4 surgeries that day. I leave at like 11:45 at night. Okay, and I didn't know this was gonna be the case. I thought I was going to this surprise party. Even when I was there, right, the surgeon just kept adding on surgeries. I go there, I was supposed to be one. Then he told me, hey, we have another add-on. Okay, two. And then, okay, this other surgeon in my group has it. He's going to be the next room over. Three. Oh, yeah, and I have another add-on after his. Four. So it was just adding on. And I couldn't go. Was I mad? No. But like, I was like, okay, that just happened that way. And then fast forward, there's another party going on Friday, and same idea. And where it's like planned things where I'm planned on going. It's like you invite and you say you're going, and Tally gets called. Tally was excited to go, and she gets called, and those plans go to shit. And yeah, I could have gone alone, but it's just like, why are things happening like this with that specific group of people that's kind of almost like a thing that's like not allowing me to spend time with them. I could have went there on Friday, but with Tally, for example, right? Like I wanted to go with us two. Not because I need her with me, but just because I wanted to go. She wanted to go, and I wanted to go there with her. I wanted to go as a couple, and just like something about going together, and then coming back, and I don't know, stopping for ice cream and whatever, or and coming home to our apartment together. I don't know. I wanted that, and but it's just like, well, why? Why is this always happening? Why is something getting thrown in the mix when it comes to this? And maybe I'm speaking too soon because there's only two, and I'm not waiting for a third instance. But there's utility to it, and in my life, I'm looking for people that I can't wait to spend time with, not people that I'm forced myself to. And I have no problem being alone if I need to. So, um, I know we see eye to eye with that. But going back to Florida, dude, honestly, some of the happier times of my life.
Amen
I
to
really
that.
enjoyed everything about it. I mean, everything about it. I really, really enjoyed. And when you left, I got messed around with. He's like, "You left me, whatever."
Yeah, my
But
fault.
my life got my life. Yeah, you said the same thing. Then, but my life got worse. Not like me, but my life got worse when you weren't there every day and we weren't doing those things because it felt like a job again, and I can only imagine what life would be like if we had that while we were playing. If we were in season, for
Well,
example, and
like
we had that, what would I mean? What would
that
that
was
look like?
me. That was me. You know, like
Backtrack, backtrack. You had other Lucas, you're saying? There's no other Lucas.
no. Like I've always been like the go guy, and I really related to Reggie, not on all aspects, but like when
Mm-hmm.
Reggie's like, "Well, I gotta go do this," like I've kind of shifted that and a little bit, but and I've kind of lost that, and it's bringing me awareness that I need to get back into doing that and going to do those things, and exploring and pushing the boundaries of what I can and can't do. And but rehab really taught me a lot about that. And like kind of right before you got there, or I mean a lot before you got there, it was like I need to go do things that I enjoy. So then it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go teach myself to longboard, and then it became I'm gonna go longboard to the sunset, and it's like, okay, well I want to go try this new restaurant. Well, I'm gonna instead of taking my car, I'm gonna longboard there. And then it would turn into, and then you got there and you challenged me in different ways. It's like, oh well, let's do cold tub, and I was like, I did cold tub every now and then, but you're like, no, we're gonna do it every day. And so you would
Mhm.
come in, you're like, gonna do cold tub today? I'd be like, I'm good. You're like, get your butt in the cold tub, and I'm like, I mean, okay.
I don't think I ever said that. I
No,
think stop being a little bitch
but
probably what I said.
whatever.
I didn't say get your butt in the cold tub. I
So
said
like,
stop being a little bitch.
so like, what I brought to the table, you know, was go go go. But what you brought to the table was, you know, to me was routine and doing hard things.
Structure.
Right. So I would push you in ways of let's go go go, and then you would push me in ways of structure.
Wow, that's a great take. I didn't think about it that way.
You get what
You're
I'm so like
100% right.
like we borderline balanced each other out
Yeah.
because
Wow, that's
you
so
were
true.
you were forcing me to do things I wasn't comfortable with, and I was forcing you to do things that you weren't comfortable with. But you knew that we were both on the same journey, so it was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if it fails, then we can, you know, we're right here. So then you separate, and
Yeah,
you're like,
so
oh
true.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you didn't realize what you thought, what you had, or you didn't realize that you how much you enjoyed what you had until it's gone. You know, like you only know you love her when you let her go. You know, as
I
the
mean,
saying
yeah,
goes.
right. Right.
The only difference is I didn't let you go. Um,
I'll never let you go.
but yeah, I mean that is a great take. That's true. And the thing is, you know, I always it's not a matter of not wanting to do stuff. If that makes sense. Like I went to go Rufus. I went to go see Rufus the Soul. Not many instances in my life where I'm like I have to do something. But I was in Virginia Beach. Tally and I were gonna go to Brazil in March. Uh, go for a trip. Rufus was playing, so it was gonna be based around that concert. Us going down there. She ended up, you know, training with American, so she was going the whole month. We didn't go. Dude, I'm in Virginia Beach 2 weekends. The weekend we had Austin on, and Rufus the Soul is in town randomly. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Dude, I still, I mean, I wasn't even, I didn't buy tickets or anything until like the day of, just because like I knew they were gonna be there. But dude, I was just like, I'm going. I'm at my brother's graduation party. It was also an engagement party, so I was also in between that. It's like, how's it gonna look if I leave, you know? But anyways, people were doing stuff, whatever, and I start talking to Andrea, I start talking to Evelyn, his fiance, and like, you know, people, and they're just like, dude, go. I mean, I missed it. They're like, dude, go. Just go. And I was like, it doesn't look bad. Are you sure? They're like, are you fucking kidding me? Go. So I was like, all right. So the tickets were like, they were even cheaper. Then it was like $65. Dude, the one of their like their best friends, he was like, take my car. His wife was like, yeah, just take our car. We're drinking. We're gonna Uber back anyways. And I was like, I'm not taking your car. And he was just like, take my fucking car. And he gave me his car keys. So I took his car to the concert. Parking was easy. Dude, I went to Rivers of Soul by myself. Didn't even think about it doing it by myself until I was there. I was like, wow, I'm actually going by myself. and it was such a beautiful thing, dude. Like, cause it didn't even cross my mind. Last year I would have not probably done that. You know, I held myself back from going to see Odessa live in Madison Square Garden. I held myself back from going to see Kygo live in Madison Square Garden. Two concerts that I really wanted to go see. Two people I love. I love Kygo specifically. I didn't go. And I wish I had, but anyways, but I went to go see Rufus the Soul by myself, and I just, dude, I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it. I was just in complete bliss. So my point in saying all this is like, it's not that I don't want to do stuff, right? It's just when I do things, it's either I do it alone or I do it with people that I want to do it with. There's no in between.
It's a good problem to
There's no in
have.
between. I don't do something just to do it with people, just so I can feel myself, just so I can feel better doing it.
Let's reminisce on another moment. I'll never forget this either. It was the 4th of July. 4th of July is one of my favorite American holidays.
Yeah,
Obviously, the American.
yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, I
That was
was.
really nice.
I think I was. I don't know. We were outside, and you're like, "Dude, what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to the beach. Like, they're gonna be packed. Like, but there is this concert in Cape Coral." And you're like, "Who?" And I was like, "Dylan Scott." And you're like, "I've never heard of him." And I was
No,
like,
I knew who Dylan Scott
"Oh,
was.
okay.
I think because
Okay.
I know the song "Nobody."
Oh, okay. All right, all right."
Nobody, nobody, nobody.
Anyway, I was like, "I'm going," and you're like, "All right, well, when you going?" I was like, "Well, I'm probably gonna get dressed and head out there in a minute or whatever." It starts at, like, I don't know, 6, and I was like, "All right, I'd like to get there a little early." And it was one of the best days we had. I mean, it was one, an amazing concert. Two, the fireworks were amazing. And then I don't know, we were just messing around. You're like, we got to listen to him all the way there. So we listened to every Dylan Scott song on the way there. And then I don't know, it was
Yeah,
just fun. Like, it
100%.
was just, like we were there alone, but we were there together type of deal. But you know,
Yeah, 100%.
it just made it easier
No,
to.
I
It
heard
made
that
it
the
made it
song "This
easier to
Town's Been
go.
Too Good to Us" there.
Yeah.
I heard the sound of the song. This town's been too good to us. Raise hell on the weekend. That song I heard there for the first time live, and I was like, dude, this song's good as fuck.
Yeah.
But there is one flaw in your whole storytelling right there.
Okay.
How we
Sorry.
went it didn't go that way
All right.
because
Tell me.
you said that, and then I was like, all right, let's go.
Okay.
And you were like, I don't know if I want to go though. I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if we're gonna how it's gonna be, whatever. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And like, I think it started at 7 o'clock. And we were eating dinner or whatever, and it was like 6 o'clock. We go back to our rooms, and I'm like, are we going? And you're like, I don't know, should we? I'm like, let's fucking go. You're like, it's gonna rain. That's what you kept saying. It's gonna rain.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I was like, all right. And you were like, fuck it, let's just go. I was like, all right. And it was like a spur of the moment, like we didn't even know we were gonna do it.
Yeah,
And
then
the
we
thing is,
did.
though, that's how we do. That's how
That's
I
how we
do
did
a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's how we did a lot of things, and that's really my life. And I love that, especially even with Tally, like trips and everything, because it's all last minute, a lot of standby flying. It's just like, are we gonna go? Yeah, sure, let's go. Bam, go. Like, I love that. Because one thing I've learned, dude, man, that when you plan something and you grow that expectation for it, you give yourself an opportunity to be let down. You really do. And so, if yeah, you're gonna plan stuff, you have to a certain extent. But if you let go, here's your saying: if you let go of the expectation of what it's gonna feel like or what it's gonna be like, you just go do it, or you plan it and don't think about it till the day you show up. It's just like, or even better yet, you plan it and you forget about it.
Yeah,
And then it's
yeah.
like, wow, yes, fuck, yes. It just.
It works.
I don't know. It's so much different. It's so much better. Like when you have an expectation for how something's going to turn out, typically does it not? It never meets your expectations.
Ever.
It never does, ever. And the thing is, I've learned on the flip side too. When you have something in your mind, right, and you're worried about something, if something comes up that's planned, and you have a plan coming up, and you're like nervous about it, you don't know how it's going to go, and whatever this, that, whatever it may be, and it just doesn't happen. Falls through. Doesn't even happen. All that wasted thought, all that wasted nervousness for nothing. And it's just like, why even worry about it? Why not just let it be? And I mean, that's happened countless times in my life. And I'm just like, I've come to terms with the fact that it's just live in the moment and react. Live in the moment and react. But like, in order to be that way, though, you got to be pretty steadfast in your ways and your principles. Because if you're gonna live on the move like that, you're gonna just make just do things here and there like that. You have to be really centered at your base, because you can be thrown around pretty easily if you don't.
Mm-hmm. And that's the process of finding yourself or knowing who you are.
Yeah, that's why I meditate every morning. That's essentially why I meditate every morning.
I think it's just like a prolonged nap for you, Like I think you wake up, and you're like, oh, I need like another 45 minutes, and so you close your eyes and you meditate. That's what I think it is.
No, in the morning I'll wake up. I'm in the shower 10 to 15 minutes after I get up out of bed. And then I will. What I've been doing lately is actually I eat before I meditate, but for the most part, whatever. I'll eat a little quick or I'll meditate. And but if it's a work day, get up, shower, do my brush my teeth, do my hair, get my food ready, get eat in the car, and I meditate. And what that does for me, we've talked about it. What that does for me is gives me this centered, like this. I mean, have a conversation with myself, yes, but like prepare myself for the day, show myself who's in control, and then that allows for anything that comes up to be to me to react to it or me to attack it rather than just like reacting to it and just like being like that. So reactionary may not be the best way to phrasing the way I try to live, but
Responding.
being open to responding is better. Um, but I I think there's a lot of benefit in just like living in the moment, obviously, but like live in the moment even in terms of decision making and just like having thought out, having a well thought out plan of not just doing stuff just off the whim or just you know um you know what's the word impulsively. It's not the right way. It's not impulsive, but you know when things turn out last minute and you just go with the flow and it usually turns out pretty good.
Normally.
So other than that, I'm excited, man. Tonight, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I have a lot of white rice sitting waiting for me.
You
I
and
have,
you and your carb load. Let go of your
dude.
carb load. Show off your six
I had
pack. Show
half
off
a
your
box of
six
pasta
pack.
today.
Show off your six pack or something.
I mean, hey, listen. There's no video on Spotify.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But
Do you lift, bro?
uh, if it's funny if Reggie were on this one, he would have already taken his shirt off. It would have been off in the air. His shirt. This man, dude, we're last thing. It's actually really funny, and I'm gonna shit on Reggie because if he's listening to this, you're a bitch, Reggie. But dude, we're like sending stuff back and forth. We do a lot of like physique stuff. He knows a lot. He really does, and so he's helped me out a good bit. But we're talking about something body fat wise, and he sends me videos like, yeah, this is what I look like around like 8-10%. I not really even trying to cut. It's just genetics. And he sends me a video of him or a picture of him in a fitting room with jeans on, one of those big belts, like the southern belts, the ones with like the big
Belt
thing
buckles.
in the front, like the gold thing,
Buckles.
a cowboy hat on, and no shirt. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Why are you taking? Where did this picture come from? Why are you taking this picture? Why would this be the picture you take in a fitting room? Because it's not like seeing how his pants look, and it's not seeing how he looks in the hat. It's just him taking a picture of him shirtless in the fitting room with a cowboy hat on, jeans, and a belt buckle. And I literally responded. I was like, I don't want to say out loud what I said, probably, but dude, it was hysterical, absolutely hysterical. He's just a fucking ass clown, a really big ass clown. Um, but yeah, long story short, Reggie would have had his shirt taken off already. That's a guarantee.
As you flex your biceps into the camera.
My hands are on my shoulder. I want me to flex my biceps. See the difference?
No, actually, I don't see the difference. Can you show me again?
In the conversation with Reggie, you didn't bring up the countless conversations we'd had plenty of times when he said that they were talking to him, they want to have more body fat. You were onto something. I mean, I don't think there's not much benefit in my opinion based off all the things I've heard about it. I don't really think it played a factor in anything, but you were telling me for the longest time, it's like, dude, you should get some body fat on you. You should get some body fat. Maybe you won't be hurt all the time. I'm just like, Yeah, well, I was hurt all the time at 250 pounds with like 20% body fat. So what's your excuse then?
One extreme to the next. There's no middle
Yeah.
ground.
Okay,
There's
extreme.
there.
Okay, I wasn't obese.
No, you weren't obese, but
Extreme,
you went
please.
from 20 to 5 or 20 to 6. If you could have hung out in the 12 to 15 range, we're talking a different cat.
Well, I started throwing. I hit 96, 97. Well, I threw hard once, like one pitch. Apparently, I hit 96 in college. But it was consistently like the 90, 89 to 92, 93 range. But not like I dropped away and I started throwing harder. But to a certain extent, I started moving way better,
Well,
and
yeah.
I
But
progressively
you
saw
probably dropped
increases
that
in
weight, and there was probably a very fine green zone for you.
Yeah, what I definitely think I could have done a better job of knowing what I know now nutrition wise was making sure I'm eating the right amount of macros. I wasn't tracking macros. I was tracking calorie intake then. So as long as my calories were good, I thought I was good, but that didn't take into account the musculature aspect to it. I needed to make sure I was eating enough protein because I think without realizing in season and stuff like that, I was very lean. I was very susceptible to losing body fat and and losing lean muscle mass. And I think I did more so than I would have liked to. I would have liked to. So knowing what I know now, I think I could have countered it a little better by just eating more protein and making sure that I was eating like when you cut, for example, you're eating a calorie deficit, but you're not going to lose muscle if you're eating enough protein. You're just not. So you'll lose a little bit. Just that's what they say. If you're doing a cut, you may lose like 2 or 3 pounds of muscle, out of the 30, 40 pounds you're cutting. It's just inevitable. But, if it's a maintenance type of program, you should not be losing muscle on a maintenance program. And that's what I was in season. And I think I could have done a better job of that because I see videos myself after I retired and now, and it's like there is a big difference body wise. I was thin. Arms
I mean, you
were
were little.
small.
You were. I
Now,
mean, you had no fat on you, and I'm
little.
not saying like,
Rephrase.
and I'm not saying
Rephrase, you were little.
not little as in the fact of like muscle mass. You're a big guy, but like I'm saying like you thin waist, like with all the movement and
Yeah.
like power that's created through the hips, like now there's a reason Bartolo Colon and CC Sabathia they were never that big, but like at the end of the career they could handle a little more fat because they understood the way their body moved. And like there's guys that are excellent at minimal body fat, but I as far as a baseball player over the course of 162 games, max effort on everything you do, like I do think that there could be a little increase. Like that was my thing to you. I was like I wasn't trying to get you to go from 5% to 20%. I was just a
No,
little,
no, no.
and
I'm only getting that
you're
chance.
like
I'm only messing around.
you battled with me on that for a long time, and I was just
Well,
like,
because
man,
I was honestly no for I was honestly scared of putting body fat on.
I know.
I learned a lot about what my body's capable of this year when I did like a real bulk and a real cut. Like I bulked to 250, and then we talked about it like a few weeks ago. Like it wasn't a real 250; it came off pretty easily, but I was still 248, 250 nonetheless. And I was strong. Like I noticed a difference. It was crazy. Like I actually was stronger. And then I started cutting, and literally within 2 months, I was back like you know 90% back to where I was. And like I learned that like okay, it's that simple. Eat more, lift, put muscle on, recover, and then cut up protein. And then I didn't do a down carb and high fat or high fat or low fat, high carb. I didn't do any of that. I just did a balanced carb fat intake and just up my protein and just pull back the carbs or pull back the calories and up cardio a little bit. Like actually I started doing cardio when I wasn't doing cardio at all when I was bulking. But when I started cutting, I started doing cardio more often. Not like anything crazy. I was just going for runs. Just trying to stay in the low intensity steady state cardio, but I went on jogs. I didn't walk. I have too much shit going on where I'm gonna sit there and walk on a treadmill for fucking 45 minutes just to
Dude,
walk at an incline. So I'm gonna go for a jog for 20 minutes.
when I was in rehab, I dropped down to 177, and like the twins preached to me weight, and my normal weight or my weight right now is 198. I would say 185 to 198, maybe 205. and there was like a two
That's a
three month
big
stretch.
gap.
I mean, it's smaller than that. It's probably 195 to 205, probably.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but I dropped down to like I remember I stepped on a scale. I think the lowest I ever got was like 177, and it was the best I ever felt. And I didn't feel like my body had.
Weird.
I don't feel like it. Yeah, I know. I don't feel like it really morphed my like body fat percentage all that much because I was getting on the what's the one where you hold it down by your side or whatever, the little
Biological impedance.
yeah, so I was doing that weekly or bi-weekly, and my body fat percentage was dropping. I mean, I don't know. It dropped down to probably like 11, 10, 11. And it was like, I was 177. I was running better than I ever ran. I was moving better than ever. And I had the most energy I ever had at the lowest weight. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even like, I was really dialed in on calorie intake. Dude, I was like right at like 2,500 calories for the day, even if it was like a max out day. So there would have been came a time where I would have ran into a wall, but I was like, man,
Yeah.
I would love to get back to that, but you know,
Well, listen. A cut is very simple.
yeah, you just got a
I could
calorie
literally
deficit.
figure out a
Yeah.
cut for you in 30 seconds.
Well,
30 seconds.
it's
You gotta
a
figure
it's
out
the
what your rest
discipline
metabolic
to
rate
apply
is.
it.
Well, no, but it's the knowledge and knowing where how because you can have discipline and attach it to something that's not 100% like truthful. Like if you have a rest metabolic rate, how much your body will burn doing absolutely nothing. That's what you go off of. And then your whatever it is, let's say if I would say for you it's probably close to like to 1700.
I mean, I could tell you, my aura ring knows that.
Yeah, it does, but I don't trust this stuff.
Oh, I'm well aware.
The RMR card. RMR calculator. You are 29 years old, 6'2", 6'1".
6 foot.
Um, 6 foot, 6'0", and you are 190. What? 195.
198.
198. Okay, your basal metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate, they're different, but this says BMR, is 2020 calories. I was a little off. So that is it says your basal metabolic rate, but that's not correct. It's your rest metabolic rate because basal metabolic rate is just your RMR with daily activity incorporated into it. But let's just say your rest metabolic rate is 2020 because we didn't put any input in terms of your lifestyle, how active you are. So that means that if you eat every day, if you start at 2,000 calories, you're going to lose weight
Yeah.
because your activity, whatever it is, you're going to be in a deficit because you're actually moving around. You're not just laying in bed all day. And then you basically just figure out. I would say probably start at 2,000 with 10 minutes of cardio, 15 minutes of cardio, and then up to cardio a little bit and down 100 calories each week. Just up, up. And at a certain point, you don't have to do like 2 hours of cardio, but it's so easy. And that's what I'm saying. Like I realized that's how you have to bulk. I was scared to put on fat because I didn't know how I was going to get it off. I didn't realize I didn't realize how efficient it was going to be. So and then I just got to a point I was like, I'm tired of this. I just did it. I just went full in, and then I learned it's like, all right, I can get this off pretty easily. So now, like next year, I'm excited to bulk. Like I'll probably do it for like I'm gonna try to do it for like 6 months, see where it takes me, and then cut. And um, yeah, but yeah, I definitely was thin before when I was playing. And did it play a role in me getting hurt? I don't think so, but it probably didn't help my ability to recover. That was the big one. That was the
Which
big one. My ability
which
to
is
recover.
like is a direct correlation to
100%.
get
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, that is a little counterintuitive. May not have created the injury, but it definitely inhibited my ability to recover. Um, but if I just ate more protein, I would have been good. Maybe a little more carbs too. That probably would have helped. But, anyways, you enjoy your final hours of Sunday, brother. You got anything planned this week?
I mean, developing a plan, moving forward, jumping into my passion and figuring it out there. Yeah, I'm motivated now. I finally
Good.
got some self accountability. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of clarity yesterday after it all
Good.
unwound for real.
Good.
I feel more like me today. I broke up a little cloggy and loggy, but yeah, going forward should be way better me.
Very nice.
So
That's all I can ask for.
that's right.
That's all I can ask for. But you got to get out here eventually. You know,
Yeah, I plan on it.
Can't run from here too often or too much.
I've been there.
It'd be a great weekend.
I've been there more
Phenomenal
than you've
weekend.
been here. Just fun fact.
Very true. Well, yes, yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I
That's
no,
true.
I we need to go with. I need to go with freedom of time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say there is probably a chance that I'll probably get out there eventually too. But let's say I'll get out there when you got your own spot. How about that?
Amen to that, brother. We're working on that as
All right,
well.
I'll come out there when you got your own spot and you don't have a fucking cat. Okay? If you get a cat in your apartment, fuck you. And I'm not coming ever.
Okay,
Okay?
that's fine.
Because like that's I can't die. So, but yeah, we'll figure something out.
Pleasure as always, sir.
Alrighty. Likewise, I will talk to you. Peace.
Peace.